Well, how would you feel about packing up your life in WA and driving all the way across to Queensland to start a new life? I think that's pretty damn exciting. And I've got two people that are here with me today that feel exactly the same way. So I'd like to welcome Ayla and Kyle. Hello.
Hello.
Hey,
Thank you so
how are
much
you?
for having us.
Absolutely our pleasure, of course. And I'm really excited to have you guys on. I think you've got an absolutely incredible story. Can't wait to share with everybody about how you got to this point of giving up the careers to move on to a limitless life, which I absolutely love. And then, of course, that journey that really kicked it all off, the trip from WA to Queensland that only happened in August. So very, very fresh and still with a lot of the restrictions in place. So we're going to have a great conversation today. Let's start with your story. Two from the Navy that decided they would start an online business and grew it to such an extraordinary position that you chose to give up your careers. That's amazing. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's pretty much started 16 to 18 months ago where we knew that we were looking for more. I'd done 13 years in the Defence Force, Ayla had done 6, and it's not that it was a bad career at all, like absolutely amazing career, had the best time, met the best people, and yeah, traveled parts of the world that I probably never would have seen had I not been in defence. But it was time for us with a new family that we needed to not have that looming fear of like up to 9-month trips away from each other and the kids. And it was at that point when, yeah, we decided to start something completely left field for us and started an online business. And
so left field. Can't even explain. So left field.
It might have felt left field at the time, but it seems that it's exactly the right fit for you guys. You've really made it work.
Absolutely. Yeah, we started to see the success, and within a few months, Ayla could commit to not returning back to work after maternity leave. And about a year later after that, I got to commit as well. And that led us to deciding that,
online.
Yeah, we did live in WA. That's where we started our life together. And now it was time to spend some time with Ayla's family over in Queensland, and we'd make that trip smack bang in the middle of the current climate.
No, it is funny, isn't it? It kind of, I think that's a really interesting sort of segue into talking about travel and what that looks like, because it must have felt quite strange to think, oh, we're starting this new lifestyle. How exciting. We want to get across to Queensland. How are we going to make that happen? How did we go about
it? We made it up along the way.
Fly by the seat of our pants.
We got in the car to leave, and I said to Kyle, wait, how are we doing this? Like, did we just, I don't know how we're
which
on our
direction
way
are we
to
going?
Queensland right now. Yeah, it just kind of, we made it.
Get there. Yeah. But you made it. You're in Queensland now, and I have the map.
The
7,000 kilometre journey, as you've told me, from WA to Queensland, and along that journey taking a little one who was 18 months at the time or 2, and being pregnant as well. Congratulations. Very exciting. But a couple of additional elements to consider.
Yeah.
How did we start? What was the first thing? How did we start planning? What did you get together? Walk me through it.
First thing for my list personally was the map. I literally Google Maps, right? Because at the stage of planning, New South Wales itself wasn't a hot spot in regards to Queensland. It was only Greater Sydney. So all good. On the map, we were actually very clear to just roll straight through. We wanted to stop in Esperance because that's where my sister lives. So we're going to stop down there, through South Australia, through sort of inland New South Wales, straight into Queensland. Happy days, nice, easy trip. Wasn't
Wow.
until I think one Saturday prior to leaving, I believe, maybe 2 Saturdays, but I think it was only
No, it
one
was the
Saturday
one.
prior to leaving.
It was
All of New South Wales got made a hotspot for Queensland. Thank you for coming. So obviously we didn't want to do a 14-day hotel quarantine with a toddler. The only way around this was either direct from South Australia into Queensland or up the NT and across into Queensland. So at the time, we decided Birdsville Track was going to be the go. So from South Australia, you can go up a dirt road, Birdsville Track, you can roll straight into Queensland. You don't even have to go through the Northern Territory. And that was the day we left. That was still the plan.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see how the plans changed on the road.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So you headed out, went down to Esperance, obviously from Perth, because it's still on the coastline south, and then started coming across. But it was during this journey that you heard about the borders and completely.
We heard about the borders just before we left.
Just
So,
before.
Right.
yeah, the weekend before we left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the looks that we got when we said we were still going, still going to make the journey across, they were, quite, I was questioning whether or not we were making the right decision. But being here now definitely feels like we did the right thing.
Yeah. So it wasn't until 5 or 6 days in, so about 5 days in, I think we were in Port Augusta, when we decided that straight up was going to be the option. Purely because we sort of started to do a bit of research, and while yes, we do enjoy a bit of four-wheel driving, we do enjoy a bit of off-road. Like we were driving my patrol over, being pregnant, having an 18-month-old, 2 days worth of corrugations wasn't really going to be ideal. So we decided the blacktop was the route to take this time, and obviously that added extra kilometers to the journey, but we did make it in the end, and that was our planning on the map side of things. Planning having a toddler is all up to this one.
So Kyle said we started with this. We very much like to kind of plan ahead and make sure it's going to be a smooth trip. And for me, that was just making sure Blair was going to be comfortable. I had a lot of suggestions from friends to make sure to pack lots of snacks, and they really came in so handy. That was the best advice I could have been given. Super grateful for that. But also something that I found so beneficial was having a little box of toys right next to her car seat, ones that she'd never seen before, fresh out of the packet. So we could just pull them out as she, started to stir a little bit. And that was, a real lifesaver and just keeping her entertained along the way. So I think a lot of our planning was just, packing up our house was a big one, making sure the car was good to go, that the trailer was packed nicely, but just making sure it was going to be as comfortable as possible for all of us, but especially Blair.
Yeah, particularly as literally the week before leaving was my final day in the Defence Force. So I had 1 week of solid prep time on, the car, buying anything that we hadn't got, planning anything we hadn't planned yet. It was just 1 week of solid prep time, and that was obviously we'd prepped a little bit up until then, but that was one busy week, probably my busiest week of the year.
We hardly saw each other.
It was a big journey to make. You need to be very, very prepared, no doubt. And so how many hours a day were you traveling approximately, and where did you sort of stop? We know you stopped at Esperance and Port Augusta. Where else did you stop along the way?
So our plan kind of from the start was to just take our time we could. So we were going to take advantage of that and just keep Blair happy. It was going to be a long trip either way. So we kind of said to ourselves, we'll make it a max 6-hour days. A couple of times we did go over that just to get us a little bit further. But we're generally doing about 4 to 5 hour days and making the most of our afternoons.
Our biggest day obviously was the very first one down to Esperance. We're nice and fresh, and we were staying there for 2 nights anyway. So we've done that trip more times than I can count. So it's a pretty common, and it's a known road. So it wasn't a massive issue, and Blair was pretty happy at that stage to just roll through a 7-hour day. That was our biggest one. We had, I think, 2 more 7-hour days over the trip.
Yes.
Yeah, like I said, 4 to 5 hours max, so that we could pull wherever we were going. We could get there sort of just after lunch without getting up too early. The mornings were the best with Blair, and I would imagine with most toddlers, the mornings are generally, they've had their nice big sleep. They've had their nice big sleep. You generally have a mid-morning nap, a bit of a snack, a bit of lunch, and then we only generally had an hour or 2 before we got to where we were going, and everyone could get out and stretch their legs.
Yeah, but you
definitely. I think that's right, isn't it? Planning around children and their normal sleep times and feeding times. And it sounds silly, but it makes life so much easier for parents. And, 4, 5, 6 hour days when you're traveling such an expansive amount of kilometers, I think that's really a really nice amount. It makes for a really enjoyable journey. And you said earlier, Kyle, that, even amongst the desert and the large expanse of land, there is beauty in that, and taking your time to enjoy that, I think, is just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So our first stop from Esperance was Cockabiddy. A lot of people wouldn't have heard of it. It's a bit of a strange place. It really is just a roadhouse. This was an area I knew fairly well because it was an area I used to fish with my dad when we were younger. We'd go to there and then hit to the coast from there down to the cliffs, and there's amazing places down there. There's a big old telegraph station that if anyone is doing the trip and has time there, it is incredible to go down to the beaches down there because they're amazing. From there, we did a very short day because we sort of planned ahead to get to Streaky Bay on a certain day. We were stopping in Streaky Bay to catch up with a friend. So we did a very short day to Eucla, which was only about a 3-hour day.
Yes.
So we had heaps of time to explore there. We went down to the beach, and there's it's another telegraph station. It is a smaller one, but we got to go walk around the old ruins. Blair got to crawl around the sand dunes, which she was so stoked for.
I was a little bit concerned about the emu tracks that were looking very fresh.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's nothing more Australian than that moment. Oh my goodness.
It really hit me then. I was like, okay, we're doing this.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a surprising town, particularly for Ayla. She'd never been there before.
I've driven through. I didn't stop.
But surprising little place. The coast is very close to Eucla, so it's only a short drive down a dirt road, and you get to go to some of their amazing beaches that are down there. So yeah, incredible places along there. When you get that contrast of the red dirt transferring straight into the pure white sand dunes.
It's beautiful.
It's views unlike people generally see.
I was so shocked to see the ocean. We were driving, coming over the hills, could kind of see it, and I was just blown away instantly. It was so beautiful, and I'm so glad we stopped there and stayed the night. And the food was so good.
Food was incredible.
That is a little hidden gem, a little secret. I think you just told us. I'm a bit excited about that. And then on to Streaky Bay.
On Streaky Bay from there, So I think that was a 5 or 6 hour drive down to Streaky Bay. Usually it wouldn't be on the route because you do actually turn down in the direction we weren't heading. But like I said, we had friends to see there, and that would be probably my favourite, both of our favourite stop on the trip. Streaky Bay is an incredible place. Like I hadn't been there before, and Ayla hadn't been there before, and we definitely plan on going back and spending some time. Just an amazing place, especially it seemed like for kids because it's very shallow, like the ocean there is very shallow water. So yeah, really.
That's awesome. So, and you'd say that it was your favorite because of the scenery, what was it about Streaky Bay that just blew your mind?
I think for me, there was enough there that we could stock up on the necessities and felt comfortable being there. I guess the caravan park, we stayed in a cabin there, which was, we rocked up and I said, should we stay an extra night? It was just beautiful, overlooking the water, the hills. It was probably the scenery, wasn't it, really?
It really was the scenery because from the caravan park, you sort of looked out into the ocean, and up to your left was just rolling hills that just rolled pretty much straight down into the ocean. before you go around the point, and
That's amazing.
it's nothing more than mind blowing is the scenery there.
Mm-hmm.
And is this in South Australia? Are we in South Australia now? Yeah,
we've made it South Australia
Yeah.
now. So that was the crossing
Yeah.
in South Australia.
Oh, fantastic. And so saw friends in Streaky Bay and then headed north from there?
Oh,
Northeast, so
North.
to Augusta.
yeah.
Oh, yes.
So that was probably our first, other than Esperance, that was our first city or large town stop, where we needed to stock up here because the next step from there was straight north.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, tell me about
that. It was it a Sunday or something, and there wasn't much open.
Yeah, it was very close. Well,
was it COVID?
Being from WA and not being too affected by the current situation with everything, we probably took it a little bit for granted until we pulled into Port Augusta and noticed that pubs were closed for food. Like you could have a beer there, but some of them didn't have a chef because they'd had to lay them off over the time, or they just didn't have them there. So we ended up pretty much finding one little place that was open for food so we could actually get some stuff. Other than just going to the supermarket and making some food. But at that stage we were ready to just have something because we'd stocked up on food for the trip north, but we hadn't actually organised. But that was our first eye-opening experience to somewhere that was actually affected by it.
Yeah, really eye-opening.
Yeah, definitely. But you got what you needed in the end, thank goodness, so that you could set out on this journey. And I was just taking a moment to peek at some of these comments here because they were going off, and I was too busy talking to you and being in your story that I completely missed them entirely. So let's have a quick little peek at those. Caitlin asked, was it also expensive to set up your car and camping essentials before you left WA?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, it is. Expensive in a way that we did a fair bit of camping prior. So we'd already set up a lot of our gear. The main things we needed to do for starters with the car, essentially, there was a few niggly issues. I needed to replace the radiator and a few things like that, which I could do myself. Which was really, I could do it fairly cheap because all I had to do was purchase the parts and then, put them in. But as far as actual camp gear and that, we did stay in a lot of cabins along the way because especially along the south coast, it was super cold at night, like 4 or 5 degrees. Doing that with an 18-month-old was not our idea of fun. So we did stay in a lot of cabins and things along the way. But yes, a little bit expensive to set up the camp essentials. Had we fully planned on camping, we did have all of our camp gear with us. But like I said, we already did a fair bit of camping prior.
And you don't
vary really in how much you want to spend. You can be pretty careful and that sort of thing.
Yeah. As we were staying on the main roads, obviously we didn't know this at the beginning, so I did make sure we had extras. So we had like a jerry can of fuel, jerry can of water, all attached to the trailer so that if we needed it, it was there. And it did really come in handy having water, especially going through some of the towns where water's pretty scarce through the middle. So you do have to pay for it at some places just to fill up a jerry can or whatever. But we made sure we stocked up before we left Port Augusta, and we didn't need to fill up anything until we're in
along the way. You know, there's a couple of really good hints there. I think the on the south coast and realizing the temperatures that it can get down to of an evening, that's a great tip and hint because of course you did do that in the August period, so still coming out of winter. But you know, it's something to think about. I definitely agree with you. And the other point that I really found interesting then, Kyle, was I did not know that it would have been so difficult to get water through the centre of Australia. I'm definitely not experienced in travelling that area. So that's another really, really great hint and tip. Thank you so much. Let's continue. Oh, yeah, of course. Absolutely. Let's continue the journey because we've got a little while still to go. Port Augusta. We've stocked up and we're heading out again now.
Yeah. This is where we made the decision, wasn't it?
Yeah, Port Augusta was where we made the decision on not going the Birdsville track, being a dirt road up out of Queensland, and also not taking the Plenty Highway. So this is another dirt road, another sort of 2-day trip that takes you from just north of Alice Springs straight across into Queensland.
Yes.
We ended up planning on going even further north before we turned right. But yeah, so straight from there,
Seems crazy.
from Port Augusta was Coober Pedy. I think it was to Coober Pedy. Yeah, so halfway to Alice Springs. Yeah, so the Opal Town.
Yes. Very, very good.
Interesting little town.
Yeah, and being that a lot of the town is underground, isn't it, in Coober Pedy?
Yeah.
So did you get to have a look? And because I'm intrigued. I've never been. So very interesting.
It is an intriguing place, and by the time we sort of got there, it was getting a little on the later side. So we didn't really go into anything underground. Can't remember if it was, I think it might have been a Saturday the day before, so it might have been a Sunday in Coober Pedy. So a lot of things were closed.
Yes.
You do see it all, like you see the buildings built into the hills, and it's sort of more built into the hills than all direct underground, but there are parts of the town that are underground, and you couldn't even imagine it.
No.
Until you've seen it. Like it's an unreal little town.
My expectations were way off of what it would look like. Like I was way off. But I'm so glad we stopped there, and we did a little drive through just to check it all out and get an idea of what it is like, and the accommodation underground and that sort of thing. So yeah, that was really cool to at least see. If we
got a chance, or at some stage we'll get a chance to go back through, I would like to stop because there's the museum there, which is actually an old opal mine. And I know that's a very big tourist attraction for actually stopping there and having a look. That is also underground, so you don't really see it unless you go in.
Unless you know about it. So again, another little good note there. Coober Pedy still going north. And what highway did you say we're on at the moment?
So we're on the Stewart Highway.
Stewart Highway, yes, that makes
sense. Stewart Highway is up through the middle.
Yes.
And it sort of roughly follows the Garn Railway. So you sort of cross the Garn a few times as you almost zigzag it up. It takes a slightly different route. You go past the turn-off to Uluru, but you don't go anywhere near it. We were completely wrong on that one. We thought we were going somewhere close to it. We had but our expectations were smashed out of the park. That would have taken us another 6-hour detour one way. So 12 to 14 hours to get there and back off the main road.
And originally we were using that as our reason to continue going north. We're like, awesome, we'll stop in Uluru. And that can be a great excuse to keep going north. But that never happened. But we're going back.
Yeah, we're definitely going back.
100%.
That is spectacular. That would be worth it. That just a trip there specifically to go to see Uluru, that would just be awesome. So we didn't go there because that is 6 hours off the Stewart Highway, which I didn't realise either. And did you see the Garn at all? Did you actually see the train? Because I know it was running.
No, we didn't see the train at all, unfortunately. I had my eyes open. Every time we seen the railway, we were looking, but didn't quite see it.
It would have been really cool though.
Absolutely. It is a spectacular, iconic train. Next time when you go to Ayers Rock, you'll have to climb it so that on that, or maybe you'll go on the Garn. Who knows? And so we get as far as going past Ayers Rock. And where was your next stop? Surely you're getting close to turning into Queensland. So Alice was the stop.
And we did you go for a day there. We stayed in a hotel there, which was really nice. And just to break it up, because we knew we had a long day the next day, and I think we were ready for a little bit of a break. So the accommodation there was really cool. They had a pool, that sort of thing. So a nice little way to break up the trip. And a good place to stop. Again, a perfect place to stock up on the essentials.
And also this one was a border crossing as well. So this is one where I would absolutely recommend to anyone that is doing the drive or doing any drives around at the moment, have your paperwork, like look on the the state you're going into's websites, because they have the paperwork there that you can fill out and print off. If you have that printed, we pulled in to the border behind sort of 3 or 4 cars in front of us, all of which had to get out of their car and go fill in their paper forms as they went. We pulled up, the police were there, check your ID, check your form, and away you went. Like, we pulled out and we were leaving before anyone that was already there before us.
Yeah,
so that's
right.
just a recommendation for anyone traveling at the moment. Yeah. See
So
what you
glad.
need and have it ready.
Yeah.
It really
That's
helps.
good to know. That's good to know. And it's good to know that there's still, the border controls, and that you can have a conversation with them as well if you need to along the way. So that was the border crossing.
Yeah, that was into the Northern Territory. So
Yep.
first time back there for a little while.
Oh my goodness. So that would have been exciting. I absolutely love Alice Springs. One of the funny yet dear memories that I can recall last time I was there, which was quite some time ago now, was going down to the Todd River, and it was completely bare. Absolutely not a scary in it whatsoever. But we got on camels and took a little ride down there, and that was super Australian, and I really enjoyed it.
That's so cool. I think we actually saw them, like a camel bar, when we were driving in, which is really awesome. Even just
Definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. Did you get to next time? See, look, there's so many more things. We'll ride, we'll go to Airsworth, we'll do all these other things along the way. Okay, so restocking up in Alice Springs and then heading off again.
Yes. Where was next?
Barclay.
Was that Barclay? Yeah. Which is cool. We liked Barclay.
Yeah. So from here, we sort of looked on the map, and we looked, Tennant Creek was probably about the right distance.
Yeah.
But friends had recommended to just take the extra hour and a half to 2 hours and stop at Barclay Homestead. So pretty much once you get to Tennant Creek, you turn right on the Barclay Highway, which takes you straight into Queensland, and the Barclay Homestead being the last little roadhouse homestead camp area you can stay at before you cross the Queensland border. And stoked that we did, because it's
beautiful little caravan park.
Yeah,
it was really nice. And they had the kind of bar and bistro area as well attached to it. So they had everything you need, but other than that, there wasn't much. But like I said, we were really glad we stopped there. It was nice.
Had a little pool there.
It
was
busy, wasn't it? We were surprised. It was packed.
Everybody was coming into Queensland that way, so they all followed you. And so after Barclay Homestead into Queensland, which was the goal in the end.
That felt good. That felt really good.
That was the last hurdle, you could say, that had us a little bit on edge the whole time. We knew we were doing the right thing. We had all the paperwork ready. We knew we'd probably be allowed in, but still in the back of your mind, you're like,
are we going to have to go all the way back?
What if they told us we're going to have to quarantine for 14 days?
We just weren't sure.
What are we going to do? Are we going to stay in the Northern Territory for a bit? Are we going to try and ride it out? Like, that was just the niggly little voices in the back of your head, like, what happens now? But
it was nice. It was easy.
But it worked out. But I can absolutely understand. I would have been feeling exactly the same way. It would have just been that unknown. And I think that can be a little bit unsettling, but you, again, had a backup plan anyway, and things worked out, and in you came. Adele has asked, how long would you recommend staying at Barclay Caravan Park?
So for us, being that it is only a caravan park, it's only a small, it's not a town or anything like that. So we would 1 to 2 nights. You've seen it all. You've revitalized if you've been there for a little while, or if you've been driving for a little while beforehand. But 1 to 2 nights, 2 nights maybe would be nice, because you can spend a bit of time walking around. It's a beautiful little area. Get to know the place.
It looked like people had been set up there for a while with their caravans.
Yeah,
it really did. And it just is a peaceful spot, I guess, if you did want to kind of seclude yourself and just have that time in nature. So if that's something that you're into, maybe even longer would be okay. It did look like people had been there for a while.
Yeah, that's super cool. And I think, we forget how lucky we are as to the expanse of our country and the very few people in comparison to other countries. And, we still have the biggest stations in the world, more than a couple of million plus, acres. No, it'd be hectares. Oh my God, honestly, stations in Australia. So we have the expanse, and we don't, for city dwellers, we don't often take that time to be in that space. And what a great opportunity to do so in so many of these spots that you've spoken about. But perhaps Barclay would be a really, really good little spot to enjoy that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was probably, out of all the areas, it was the area we didn't really have reception either.
Yeah.
So if you really did want to just go there and unplug, it's a really good place to do it, because you can just hang out and just be.
Yeah, just be.
No choice. Do anything else. You're just there. Lovely.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me. Made it into Queensland. So where are we? If that was Barclay was a little south of Tennant Creek, and you're coming into Queensland, whereabouts are we? Are we kind of Longreach, Townsville, somewhere in that area?
Mount Isa, a little bit higher.
Mount Isa.
Higher? Oh my God, I'm higher. You're above Townsville.
Yeah.
Is it above Townsville? It's probably about
in line with maybe.
I'm not 100% sure where Mount Isa lies.
Yeah.
My geography on Queensland is not. But that's where we came in.
Well, that's perfect. And now that you're here in Queensland, you can go ahead and fix that geography issue and go ahead and explore.
Yeah, we definitely plan on exploring everything Queensland has to offer while we're here.
Yeah.
Definitely do that. There is so much. You guys, that was awesome. And I know that there would have been an adventure in Queensland while coming down to where you are in the southeast now. And we look forward to hearing about that perhaps another time if you're welcome, if you're willing to join us again. We'd be delighted to have you back on. Thank you.
I'm sure there'll be more adventures before then.
I love it. I love the attitude. Living limitless. That's what you guys are all about. I'm on board. This sounds like a plan, but what I love about what you've done here is you've made the most of our current situation in Australia. We say this all the time. We've got the most exceptional, beautiful country to explore with everything there is to offer. We don't need to go anywhere right now. We've got so much to see, and you've done exactly that to get here.
We highly recommend.
Well, I'm loving it and I'm inspired. So I'm going to check out that map a little bit closer, because clearly I haven't got enough information yet, but I love it. And that's really kicked off my appetite for that adventure. Thank you guys so much for coming. We really appreciate it. And we will see you again soon, hopefully.
Thank you
Sandra.
for having us. See ya.
Pleasure.